So I'm a marine ecologist. I work at the Marine Biological Association of the United Kingdom in Plymouth, and I'm involved in a large-scale project which looks at kelp forests all the way around the United Kingdom, from the north of Scotland in Orkney to the west of Scotland here in Oban, to Pembrokeshire in Wales, and down to the southwest of England near Plymouth. And what we're doing is we're using scientific diving as a tool to be able to work in the kelp forest to measure things like biodiversity by counting the number of plants and animals that are using the kelp forest for habitat, and also to measure things like kelp growth rates and try and understand how much energy is captured by kelp and how that energy is processed and passed into the food web. And we're doing this because these are critical marine habitats and they provide a whole wealth of services. But what we don't know is how things like temperature and light and water movement actually affect the growth and the biodiversity of these habitats. So we're doing this and we're spending a lot of time in the water to kind of better understand how these systems work and how they might change in the future under things like climate change and changes in storminess. So here we are on the west coast of Scotland on a very blustery day, and just below the surface of the sea behind us there are large vast expanses of kelp forest, and here is a kelp plant. Now most people think of kelp and they think of rotting seaweed on the beach. Ecologically they're very similar to coral reefs in the tropics or even trees on land, in that these kelp provide a habitat for a whole wealth of other species of plants and animals that live in the sea, and a lot of those animals rely on these kelp to survive. Now it functions as a habitat provider. It forms habitat for other things, and it has three distinct habitats. First of all, the holdfast, which is a bit like a root system of a plant, but this holdfast attaches to the reef itself and actually provides anchorage for the plant. But inside this holdfast there's lots of living space for tiny sea creatures like crustaceans, snails, urchins even, and lots of animals live inside this holdfast structure here. And then we have the stipe, which is akin to a stem in a terrestrial plant, and this provides surface for attachment of a whole host of other organisms, such as these red seaweeds here and these green seaweeds here. And inside these reds and greens, again, there's a whole host of animals that actually use this as their homes, and some animals even directly eat this material here, so this provides food. And then the third habitat is the blade itself, and this is the large area for photosynthesis. Kelp is a photosynthetic algae, and so some animals and even plants can actually settle and grow on this material at the top. So this is where all the growth is of the plant, just at the top of this stipe where it joins the blade. And this particular kelp is found through the whole of northwest Europe, from northern Portugal all the way through to northern Norway. And it's the dominant kelp around the British Isles, especially on exposed open coastlines. And it grows really, really fast at this time of year, through early spring into summer. And it can grow up to 1 centimetre every single day, and that growth is eventually transported from the plant and is used by a whole heap of other organisms, things which eat the kelp directly, like sea snails and sea urchins, and things that eat the kelp once the growth leaves the plant and turns into detritus or leaf litter, if you like. And this energy fuels the whole inshore food web and is passed from the kelp to other marine organisms and eventually higher up the food web to things like lobsters and crabs and fish, which are obviously really important to regional communities of people.
An emerging threat to kelp forests is ocean warming. Most kelps are cool water species that perform best in cold, nutrient-rich waters found along temperate and subpolar coastlines. However, the seas around the UK have warmed significantly in recent decades, and temperatures are becoming less favourable for some kelp species. As a result, we're seeing changes in the distribution, structure and stability of kelp forests. By comparing kelp populations in the cold waters around Scotland with those in the slightly warmer waters around Wales and England, we can better understand how continued ocean warming may alter these important habitats. We are doing this because kelp forests actually do a lot for humans. They provide nursery grounds for fish, crabs and lobsters, and habitat for seabirds and seals. They generate food for a high diversity of marine animals, and they fuel coastal food webs. They capture and transport carbon and other nutrients. They protect our coastlines from waves and storms. They even provide for us directly in terms of food and biological products like alginate, which is found in cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. That's why uncovering the secrets of these hidden forests is crucial, if we are to better understand, value and safeguard these critical habitats into the future.